I get a lot of messages from people who are trying to upgrade a meeting room, a classroom, or a retail display, and they're stuck between a standard 4K TV and something that looks more like a professional workstation. The biggest worry I hear is spending a lot of money on a screen that ends up being underutilized, or worse, doesn't play nice with the software they already rely on. In this review, I'm going to walk through what the Planar UltraRes P-Series 55-inch actually delivers in a day-to-day environment, so you can decide if it's the right fit for you or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the context in which a 55-inch 4K touch display makes sense. You're looking at a space where you need to show high-resolution content for longer periods. Think digital signage that runs 24/7, a collaborative design studio that needs precise touch input, or a training room where multiple presenters need to share screens without constantly swapping cables. That's the sweet spot for Planar's UltraRes. It isn't marketed as a living room TV. It's built to be on for hours, to handle 4 video sources at once, and to give you a touch surface that feels like a tablet but on a wall. One of the first practical questions is about installation. The unit comes with a protective glass front that's designed to stand up to the occasional bump in a high-traffic environment. When I read through the installation guide, the mounting options are fairly standard wall mount brackets that can be adjusted for tilt, plus a built-in cable management channel. That means you don't have to create a custom enclosure or worry about exposed wiring, which can be a hidden cost on other models. For most businesses, a single-person install with a drill and a level is all that's needed. Now let's get into the touch performance, because that's where the commercial label really matters. Planar uses a projected capacitive (PCP) layer that claims pinpoint accuracy. In practice, that translates to a responsive feel whether you're using a stylus for drawing or just tapping icons in a meeting. I tried it with a few common tools: a web-based whiteboard, a CD viewer, and a video conference app. The latency was negligible, no noticeable lag between finger and cursor, which is crucial when you're trying to annotate a slide in real time. The touch layer also supports multi-touch gestures, so you can pinch zoom a map or rotate a 3D model without fighting the screen. Brightness is another real-world factor. At 500 nits, the UltraRes is bright enough to combat ambient light in a well-lit conference room, but you'll still want to consider shading if the space has direct sunlight. In my own tests, the screen stayed legible even when the blinds were fully open, though the whites did look slightly washed out compared to a dedicated HDR display. That's a trade-off you'll see in any commercial monitor that prioritizes constant uptime over peak visual punch. One feature that often gets glossed over is the ability to display up to 4 sources simultaneously. Planar calls it a 24/7 solution, and it really does work the way it sounds. Using the built-in multi-window controller, I could have a live video feed on one quadrant, a PowerPoint deck in another, a spreadsheet on the third, and a social media ticker scrolling in the fourth. All of that ran without the system hiccuping, and the pictures stayed crisp across each window. For a control room or a retail kiosk where you need to keep several data streams visible at once, that flexibility can replace a rack of separate monitors. Energy consumption is another hidden cost for many buyers. Because the unit is ENERGY STAR certified, its power draw sits comfortably below what you'd expect from a comparable 55-inch TV that's always on. Over a month of 24/7 operation, the difference adds up, especially if you're running several of these in a large facility. It's not a dramatic saving, but it's enough to make the total cost of ownership more palatable. So who should actually consider spending on this monitor? If you're a small to medium business that needs a reliable, always-in display for collaborative work, or a university department that wants a touch-enabled whiteboard without the expense of a full interactive flat panel system, the UltraRes 55T hits a sweet spot. It also makes sense for medical or engineering environments where color accuracy and touch precision matter more than cinematic contrast. The 4.6-star rating from over 100 buyers suggests that most owners are happy with the day-to-day performance, especially given the price point relative to other professional displays. On the flip side, you should skip this model if your primary use case is home entertainment or if you're hunting for true HDR performance. The 500 nit brightness and the color gamut are solid for business content, but they won't match a high-end TV when you're watching a 4K movie in a dark room. Likewise, if you need a screen that can be tilted dramatically or used in a very